Hello, and thank you for joining in to our online presentation of Developing Digital Leaders. Tonight's presentation will give you a better understanding of what it means to be a digital leader, and then also how technology can enhance the learning process, how it can enhance the opportunity for student voice and choice, and the different things that are possible in classrooms that maybe wouldn't have been possible without the technology. The first thing I wanted to showcase this video, Moonshot Thinking, was something I had seen this summer, and it truly kind of wraps your mind around the idea of technology and what types of things are possible if we shift our mindset.
The actual moonshot is wonderful, inspirational, poetic, beautiful, involved great technical challenges, genuine heroism. It brought the world together. But think about the Polynesian islander on the dugout canoe, deciding one day they were going to go that way. No one had ever been that way before. No one even knew if there was anything that way before. It was amazing, and it changed the world.
People can set their minds to magical, seemingly impossible ideas, and then through science and technology bring them to reality. And that then sets other people on fire, that other things that look impossible might be accomplishable.
Galileo is such a hero, in thinking big, and what he represents to me is both curiosity and wonder that humanity had, that pushed him and drove himself to invent and work on the first telescopes that allowed us to see the moon, and here we are.
These aviation pioneers were figuring it out as they went. No one really knew how to build an airplane, right? No one knew how to fly an airplane. It was amazing and crazy and wonderful, and they wanted to explore.
Many years ago, the great British explorer George Mallory, who was to die on Mount Everest, was asked why did he want to climb it. He said, because it is there.
There's so many challenges in the world, and you can feel daunted by that, and sort of oppressed by that, or you kind of say, how might we think differently about this?
Everyone else in the world is working on that next 10%. If you can be the one that delivers that 10 times improvement, you have a chance to really change things.
If you want cars to run at 50 miles per gallon, fine, you can retool your car a little bit. But if I tell you it has to run on a gallon of gas for 500 miles, you have to start over.
You need a lot of courage in this work, and you need a lot of persistence. One of the things that's really critical is not only having the courage to keep trying every day or thinking big, even if you don't really 100% believe it's possible, like you might think this might be possible, have the courage to try. That's how the greatest things have happened.
You don't spend your time being bothered that you can't teleport from here to Japan, because there's a part of you that thinks it's impossible. Moonshot thinking is choosing to be bothered by that.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Humanity's progress has been a series of amazing, audacious things, from the very small and personal up to the great, big, and grand. And we are a species of moonshots. And to me, that's like the really amazing, poetic, and inspirational thing.
I think our ambitions are a glass ceiling on what we can accomplish.
When you find your passion, you're unstoppable. You can make amazing things happen. It's been true through all of history.
I believe in the human spirit, and I believe that there are always going to be crazy people who will get out of bed one morning and say, you know what? I think I can build a space elevator, and let's go and do it. But I think that if we become afraid to take these great big risks, we stop inspiring people. We stop achieving things. And the biggest nightmare scenario is that we won't have what it takes to solve the really big challenges.
When Kennedy said that we would put a man on the moon, it's about the fact that he said, we don't know how to do this yet, and we're gonna do it anyway. And that sends chills up everybody's spine. Because if that happens, what couldn't we do?
I think that moonshot thinking or thinking big is something that we need to foster with our students as parents, as educators, because technology does truly allow us to think outside the box. And the potential learning, the connections, the opportunities to grow and learn and connect with those experts, the technology creates those things that wouldn't be possible without that. So technology is a tool in our classroom that truly gives our learners a voice that maybe they didn't have before. In a traditional setting, we a lot of times think about how students are asked questions and they're asked to find answers. Technology can help them find answers, but even beyond that, with your moonshot thinking and thinking big, what we want to create, or what the technology has the potential, is to create opportunities for students to ask these questions. Ask the questions of their peers, ask the questions of the experts, ask questions in their own mind, and use the technology or their experiences, their knowledge, their background knowledge, to find answers to their own questions and things that they want to know. Some opportunities that I have seen or that I've helped foster: virtual connections. We send kids virtually to like the Henry Dorley Zoo, to Morrill Hall, to Durham Museum, where they again are asking those experts, seeing those things virtually, something again that wouldn't be possible without the technology. Maybe we didn't have the time or the resources to make that trip, but they have that opportunity to connect with those individuals. Google Expedition also has the potential to immerse students in virtual field trips. Google Expeditions are virtual reality. In this situation, we had students that connected or actually took a virtual tour to the 9/11 Memorial. Again, an opportunity for them to see things, to build background knowledge, and foster those opportunities for them to ask questions, to gain more knowledge about that tour or that information or whatever they are connected with or immersed in that situation. One of the other big things that technology allows is, as teachers, it allows us to hear from all of our students. A lot of times we can do simple videos where students will record themselves answering a question or asking a question, solving a problem, explaining their belief, taking a stand on something. And so if we're assessing standards, if we're assessing lacks of understanding, or we're assessing level of understanding, we truly can gauge where they're at in that content. Students also really gain an understanding of how they learn best, their ability to use tools that best meet their needs, tools that best interest them, and also allowing them to tap in their strengths. Not all students want to be behind a video camera to record something about their learning, but maybe they want to do an audio recording. Maybe they want to draw or sketch note. Maybe it's slides, or maybe they're a writer and they want that to go through a Google Doc. And so giving them a voice on utilizing those different tools, we have that power with the technology to do those recordings, those different things. And maybe they need to connect with an expert or seek some feedback before a final submission. Then on the flip side, obviously, there's some need for digital citizenship, and this isn't just a school-issued device. We need to really push our students to be responsible digital leaders and embrace the power of social media in a way that represents them in a positive way. And I think Scott Frost, in this quote right here, does a phenomenal job of explaining just the importance flat out by simply just saying, these are his expectations. If there's anything negative about women, anything racial or about sexuality, anything about guns or things like that, we're just not going to recruit you. Piece of advice: what you put on social media, that's your resume to the world, and that's what you're trying to tell the world you're about. That's how you're advertising yourself. And I really think that encompasses the importance and everything we need to portray to students when they're texting, they're sending photos, when they're interacting online with other accounts, other people, other posts that have been out there, just simply liking them, just simply following things. It really does truly have an effect on you, whether you posted it or not. It's who you're interacting with. Sometimes we don't always really understand what it means to be Google searched. A lot of us, it's hard to think about, college or jobs or things beyond high school, depending on what grade you're currently going into. But at some point, we're all going to be Google searched for a resume, for a job. You're going to babysit, you want to apply for a scholarship, and all of those things can surface rather quickly. What you put on paper can look phenomenal, but once you get that Google search, some things can come back. And so I'm going to showcase this video right here, and I want you to think through what happened to Amy and how what she could have done to create a better online presence for herself.
Hiya. must be Amy.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Linda. Nice to meet you.
And you?
Right then. Well, we better get started because the shop's got to be open at 10. So, why have you applied for the weekend position with us?
Well, I love fashion and I particularly like your clothes design here too.
Thank you. I see that your school grades are rather good.
Yeah, I'm very dedicated to my work.
That's good. Of course, working in a shop will involve lots of face-to-face interaction with customers. Is that something you think you can cope with?
Oh yeah, I'm very sociable and I get on well with everybody.
I see. What about Brenda Sharp? It's just that it says here that you wouldn't be seen dead with her.
Oh.
Any other hobbies or interests?
Yeah, I'm part of my local athletics club.
Really?
Yeah, I did a sponsored
It doesn't
running.
say anything about that here either. It does mention, however, that you are part of the I Hate Brenda Sharp group. In fact, it would seem that you started it. Poor girl. I wonder what would happen if she were to come into the store and you were to serve her. I have to say that the photos that you've attached are really not at all flattering. What else? Oh yes, shoplifting, substance abuse.
No.
Pardon?
Well, that's not true. That can't be on there.
You put it here. Look, I have to say, you seem perfectly nice, but you really don't give a good account of yourself.
Should you be looking at that?
Well, you might not have meant me to, but it's here. Oh, is that the time? I've got customers waiting. Thank you for coming.
I think we really need to remind students about digital dirt, and some of that stuff can come up even when we don't think it's still there or something that other people can see. Another example of some digital dirt or an unfortunate circumstance, these young ladies were in the College World Series, I believe, Little League World Series last summer. Obviously, there's a team of 12 girls here. 6 of them posted a photo, were in a photo and posted online. One of them had her middle finger up in the photo. The consequence after the officials had seen that was the entire team got disqualified. So I think the message here goes beyond whether or not they should have been disqualified. It's the message here to students and young social media users would be that sometimes we're guilty by association, and we really need to look at who we follow, who we surround ourselves with, and support each other and help guide each other with making the right choices online, and being those digital leaders together as we move forward. Sam Foltz is a prime example of this. You never know who's watching. What impact are you going to leave on the next generation to aspire to? Great representative of, or great he showcases or had showcased positivity on and off the field and on and offline. And even though he has passed, this quote and tweet surfaces quite regularly. Another great example of something to think about. I also would like to just stress that in today's society, it's not necessarily about whether we do social media. The question is how we do social media, and just going back to some of those things, thinking about the photos and the things that we are associated with, mentioned by Scott Frost, making a positive post, making an effort to create that positivity. I think students need to realize that when you're creating amazing things, you're creating videos or creating things online or for classes, that when we share those things, those are great artifacts of things that can help you get that scholarship. They can help represent you for that job application. You have artifacts and things that showcase what you represent. They showcase your skill set, and I think it's great to share those things. When we talk about things we can do in response to something, or maybe you've made some choices, you're not quite sure what's out there about yourself, Google Alerts, simply search that, put your name in, email address. It's just one way to stay on top of what's out there, because you do receive notifications via email when something is posted on a blog, a newspaper, that type of thing. My biggest suggestion for students is to think about some digital dusting once, twice, even 3 times a year. And when I say that, it's kind of along the lines of thinking about who your friends are and how they represent you. Who do you follow? What kind of things do you like? What groups are you a member of on social media profiles? and then looking at your profile photo and other photos that you have. A lot of times when we're 13 and we create these accounts, we just do a bunch of add a bunch of people to get those numbers up there, and it becomes a numbers game. We don't always step back and think about, do we really follow them, or do they represent us in a positive way? And so doing some of that on a regular basis is pretty important. And the last message I just want to portray is the whole idea that we are all, as adults, as students, on a social media highway. And we're going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen, whether it was purposeful, by accident, somebody tagged you, and those types of things. We just need to know where to go to delete those, to ask questions. Maybe you need to reach out to an adult. Something you saw or you were connected to is scary or hurtful. We need to know the resources that are out there. So as parents, we just need to keep those lines of communication open. As teachers, we just need to keep portraying the positivity and sending that message, and then knowing that when these yucky things come up, that we just get back on and continue to post the positive message. Lastly, again, my name is Heather Callahan. My contact information is here. If any of you would like more resources, whether it's for a parent, whether it's for a student, I do have some parent resources I'd be happy to share. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you again for your time.